Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Simons on this beautiful day. I have everyone outside. Mr. Simons is kind of walking around, weed whacking, getting rid of some of our weeds that we have. I've got Max down here walking all around. I've got Jonah. Camera girl, you can give Jonah a little hi. Say hi boys and girls. Say hi boys and girls.
Hi, boys and girls.
Good job. All right, and we have a really fun book today. This is a piglet named Mercy. A piglet named Mercy. This looks like a really fun story. You can get Max, that's fine. Okay, here we go. So we got kids, we've got husbands, we've got books, and we've got a dog. I think it's officially a party. All right, a piglet named Mercy. This is by Kate DiCamillo. Kate DiCamillo is a great author. Bless you, twice. And she's written some wonderful books. What time is it? It's time for a story. But Kate DiCamillo is a really good author. I don't know if any of you ever heard of Because of Winn-Dixie. That was one of her big book hits that she really did well with. And there's a whole strand and series of the Mercy Watson books. And for moms and dads, just so you know, they're great books for first going into second grade as far as readers go. So this is a piglet named Mercy. Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson lived in a house on Deckawoo Drive. Deckawoo Drive was an ordinary street in an ordinary town. Looks like a little bit like Clifton Park, huh? Mr. and Mrs. Watson were ordinary people who did ordinary things in ordinary ways. Just like weed whacking the yard, which we can hear. One day, Mrs. Watson said to Mr. Watson, "I wonder if we aren't just the tiniest bit too predictable." Predictable? Us? Said Mr. Watson. Surely not. It's just that sometimes I wish something different would happen, said Mrs. Watson. Things are just fine as they are, said Mr. Watson. But then something different did happen. Whoa, it's a truck. It says caution, pigs. Molson's Pig Transport. This little piglet got loose. Looks like he bounced out of the truck. Someone very small and not at all ordinary found her way to the Watsons' home on Deckawoo Drive. It's a loose pig. Oh my gosh. Mr. Watson made the discovery when he opened the door for the morning paper. "Mrs. Watson," he called, "come see." "Oh, the little dear," said Mrs. Watson. "Oink," said the piglet. "I think she's hungry," said Mr. Watson. "Is that a pig?" said Eugenia Lincoln. Eugenia Lincoln lived next door, and she did not approve of surprises or pigs. "It is," said Mrs. Watson. "Can you believe our luck?" "Don't be ridiculous," said Eugenia Lincoln. "A pig is not lucky at all." Oh, she looks like a very grumpy neighbor. Yikes. "Do you think perhaps the piglet would like a bottle of warm milk?" said Baby Lincoln. Baby was Eugenia's younger sister, and she was fond of surprises and piglets. Mrs. Watson scratched his head. "A bottle of milk? I don't know. This is so unpredictable." "Leave it to me," said Baby Lincoln. "Oink," said the piglet again. Mrs. Watson picked up the piglet and took her inside. She wrapped her in a blanket. "Have you ever seen anyone so darling?" she asked. Sorry, we were a little bit, here, Max wants to say. All right, Max, there you go. She said, "Never," said Mrs. Watson. "Here is the warm milk," said Baby Lincoln. "I have it right here." Eugenia said, "This is absurd." The piglet did not think it was absurd at all. She drank the entire bottle. Look, they even have it wrapped in a little baby blanket. Wow, treating it like a real baby. Then she burped and went looking for more. "Oh my goodness," said Mrs. Watson. "Watch out," said Eugenia. "She seems to like toast very much." The little piglet is using the toaster. "Oh, the darling, darling thing," said Mrs. Watson. I never knew pigs liked toast so much either. "Mr. Watson," said Mrs. Watson, "perhaps you would like to hold her for a bit." "Certainly," said Mr. Watson. He took the piglet in his arms. He rocked her. He hummed. "How extraordinary," said Mr. Watson. She's a porcine wonder. She's a pretty marvelous piglet. This piglet is a wish come true, said Mrs. Watson.
What's Max doing, Mommy?
Max is listening to the story, Jonah. What a mercy she is, said Baby. There you go, said Mr. Watson. We will call her Mercy. She's not a mercy, said Eugenia. She's a pig. Oink oink, said the piglet. You cannot name a pig Mercy, shouted Eugenia.
Max can know me.
But they did. They named her Mercy. She was entirely unpredictable. She was not at all ordinary, and she was very, very loved. They even have the little piglet in a high chair, just like a real baby. Very, very funny. Boys and girls, thank you for listening so nicely today. Enjoy the beautiful weather. And this was a really fun story. In a very unpredictable way, I had to read it with Max running around, and I have all my kids here. It's kind of like, this is what life's all about, my friends. We just kind of go with the flow. And I think the weed whacker stopped, which means Mrs. Simons has a very trimmed up yard right now. Have a great day, everybody, and I will hope to see you all tomorrow for another read aloud, unless my camera girl thinks she is going to take my phone and maybe record herself later reading a story. Something strange is going on around here.
Bye.